Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Michael Devine. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, I invite you to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private George Lavender. George Lavender was born in 1888, the son of George and Jean Lavender of Thornhill in North Richmond, about 70 kilometres northwest of Sydney. After attending North Richmond Public School, Lavender moved to Innisfail, far north Queensland, which was renowned for its sugarcane and banana industries. Although his service records state that he was a labourer, he gave his trade as plantation owner. George Lavender enlisted for service in the Australian Imperial Force at Townsville on the 20th of September 1915. Two other men from Innisfail also enlisted that day, 18-year-old Ernest O'Brien and 19-year-old Elwyn Smith, who probably worked at the nearby Gundy Sugar Mill near the Johnston River. The three men were all marked as reinforcements for the 9th Battalion, and on the 30th of December 1915 embarked from Brisbane on the troop ship Itonis. By this time, the evacuation from Gallipoli was coming to an end, and the AIF was regrouping in the desert camps outside Cairo. Successful enlistment campaigns in Australia had generated thousands of new recruits who, like George Lavender, were arriving in Egypt at the same time as the men returning from the Dardanelles. The decision was made that the existing battalions would all be split, with half the experienced personnel joining new battalions. The 9th Battalion was split to form the 49th Battalion and was brought up to strength with reinforcements, and the men began training in preparation for fighting on the Western Front. Lavender, Smith and O'Brien all remained in the 9th Battalion. O'Brien and Smith would go on to serve on the Western Front. O'Brien was awarded a military medal for conspicuous bravery in the field and great assistance to company commander as messenger, and devotion to duty in assisting wounded, before returning to Australia in September 1917. Smith was wounded by a shell which left him with a permanent injury to his left hand and scars on his left leg. He was given a medical discharge and returned to Australia in July 1917. Lavender would not return to Australia. On the afternoon of the 17th of February 1916, military police brought the body of a man to the 1st Australian General Hospital at Heliopolis. The identity of the dead man was determined by his identity disc, 3822 Lavender G 9th AIF. The cause of death was determined to be suicide, a gunshot wound to the head. George Lavender was buried the same day at Cairo War Cemetery. His remains lie there today under the inscription, "O Lord, teach us from our hearts to say, thy will be done." 2 days later, his family received the heavy news via telegram. George Lavender was 27 years old. His name is listed on the honour roll on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private George Lavender, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and a sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them. lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.